All right, so let's jump in and get started. As I mentioned, today we're going to go over two new items in your key data dashboard. The first is your logbook. And on the surface, I must admit, logbook may not seem that exciting. However, let's get into it. So it's located underneath your units subheading in your report stack in the left-hand column. It's the first option that's available right now. And whenever we pull up the logbook initially, what you see is basically a repository of notes that have been applied to particular units or unit groups. And what's really cool about the logbook is that first and foremost, it is a repository, right? It's a place for you to store critical information. And let me give you some examples. Maybe you have owner notes. So maybe Mr. Smith joins your rental program and he's got some rules. I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we bring on a new homeowner and the homeowner tells us, you know, I've got rate restrictions or length of stay restrictions, or maybe they're just general expectations. But it's always kind of like, well, where do I put that information? Where do I put it so that it can be easily identified, across the whole team? And what we're giving you in Logbook is a place to put that really critical information. Logbook is also an organizational tool for your teams. And I know there are so many organizational tools out there and available. This one is so clearly dedicated to the job that we're all doing, whether it's owner communication, which we talked about, but there are also places for you to put marketing information or information related to rates and revenue. And that's really kind of where this product started for us. So as we think about what happens in a unit over the course of a year, we may have set a rate 12 months ago, or the rates for the whole year 12 months ago, and then we make adjustments, right? You know, maybe we see that, you know, pacing is a little bit slow for spring break, and so we're gonna drop the rate, or we're gonna increase the rate because maybe it's pacing too quickly. By the time you get around to kind of evaluating what happened the year prior, you may not even remember why you've changed your rates, or were they up or down compared to where you started. And so this gives you a location to put that type of information. What's unique here is that notes or logs can start or originate in different places. You could literally come in and just add a new note. You select whether it's a revenue note, a marketing note, or an owner note. Let's say this is an owner note. You can apply it to a certain season if you have those set up in your key data dashboard. But then you can select a unit or multiple units. So maybe this homeowner has 2 units on our program. You could also apply it to a custom unit group if you'd like, and then you can pin it, which really is kind of a quick reference, right? If you're pinning the note, that means you're going to be able to see it on top. And then you can put in a note. So maybe this is owner will stay 30 days in August. You submit, and now your new note comes up in the feed with all of the others. What's unique here is that you can filter. So you could say, you know, I just want to see, you know, 2-bedroom houses, or, you know, homes in a certain area, or by a custom unit group. You could also filter by date range. So, you know, let's just see notes that have been input in the last 7 days. Hit apply, and now we can see those notes at the top. So let's go to where you can originate notes on the unit level. So if you click into an individual unit, this is for Seagrove, our happy place. And you can view your logbook from here. So now you see your logs related to this unit in more of a timeline. We can see, what was going on with owner usage. We can also see, that Jason did a test for marketing and he applied it to a certain season. All of these include the employee's name or the user within key data's name, and they're also tracked by date and time. So it's easy to see across teams what type of activity is happening. Again, you can filter by revenue, marketing, or owner notes, or see all. And then this is the pin note on the top, which of course is that quick reference note. You can also see these notes in any of your other unit level reports. So if we head over to leaderboard, for example, and you scroll over the unit, now you can see any of the pinned notes on top. And you can also view the logbook from this leaderboard or unit details list report as well. Same thing here, you're getting the timeline. You can also add a new note from this very spot. And the idea is that we want to give you places, multiple places throughout the dashboard to be able to easily add these organizational notes or critical information notes so that anyone that's within a user within your dashboard can be on the same page with you. So if marketing is about to put out a special, whenever they come in to add their note about the special, they would be able to see if, for example, this property, if the owner had a no discount policy, if that were pinned to this note, it would be very obvious to marketing, whoa, I need to pull this property from that marketing proposal. So this is Logbook. We hope that you explore it. Invite other users from your organization to participate in it, because this really becomes more and more valuable with marketing, owner notes, and revenue and rate notes. Hopefully this can soon take the place of what you may have as several spreadsheets, putting all of these notes in different places so that you can have a central repository for all of this critical information. Feel free to explore, play around, and then ask your partner success manager if you have any questions or concerns. Again, this product is very new for us, and we're open to feedback so we can continue to increase the value of this particular piece of the dashboard for you. Next up is our business development rental projection tool. And like Jason said earlier, we have had this product out for a little more than 30 days now, but it's recently undergone a full overhaul based off of feedback that we received from you, our partners. So to get us started here, you can enter an address, or you can directly select on the map. So that's something that's new in this version 2 from our original release. You can now zoom into the map and select a particular location without having to have an address on hand. But I'm going to go ahead and pop one in that I love to use. 153 Silver Laurel Way. And then I'm going to hit continue. And while this is loading, I want to explain to you what the address or the pinpoint does for you. It really locates the market. Key data is really driven by these geographic markets, and we have unique abilities once we can identify which market you're interested in analyzing. So the first thing that it does is it gives you an option here, right? You can continue with the area that's located, or you can launch a satellite view of the map in order to draw a new market. I'm just going to continue along because I want to get through the options with you. Now that we know what market, because we entered the address, we know what market this is located in. We're going to ask you to refine your projection. So here's where you're going to enter bedroom size and unit type. And if you would like, you can multi-select, right? So you could say 3 and 4 bedroom houses, or you could multi-select and say, show me anything that's a 3 and 4 bedroom that's a house or a condo. I'm just going to stick with 4 bedroom houses for now and hit submit. Now we're pulling basically all of the properties that are located within that market that feed into key data, and we're starting to come up with some performance information for that address. So the first thing that I want to point out is that we're locating that address in watercolor. So this is the geographic market that the address falls within. And if we come over to the right, we've taken an average of all of the properties. So we can see quickly that this is sourced from 148 total properties, and 55 of them are actually managed by 360 Blue, which is the dashboard that I'm in. So it's going to tell you how many properties you manage within the comp criteria for bedroom house and within the market. So we can see 360 Blue has 55 4-bedroom houses within this really broad watercolor market. At the top, we're getting the performance, right? So this is without any further filtering. The average of 4-bedroom houses in watercolor is 101,000. Without any owner nights, it would be 137,000. The next thing that I really like to point out is that we're giving you a visual distribution of the comp set. So right now we've selected kind of middle of the road, right? And you have to keep in mind that out of these 148 total properties, some of them are super high end. Maybe these that are right on the water, they might represent the very top of the market for 4-bedroom houses in watercolor. But that's very few properties. You've got a few more in this kind of second tier. We default to the middle tier, but then the majority of the properties in this market kind of fall into this lower distribution. And so you can switch between these in order to refine your projection. So let's take a look if we were to switch to the lowest distribution set. That takes us down to 52,000. So remember, originally we were around 100, now we're down to 52. And so it's important to remember that there's a huge difference between the lowest performing properties and the highest performing properties. Now, how can we get to a point where we don't have this huge swing between the top and the bottom? What I usually suggest is that we kind of dig in a little bit to this market. And so as I zoom in, I can really get a really great view of kind of what all is included. And if you're operating in one of these markets, you probably already have an idea that a house that's, I don't know, 7 blocks from the beach, performance-wise is going to be much different than a house that's right on the beach. Same thing if you're in a ski market or an urban market, location, location, location. So let's use some of these tools to really kind of get a more accurate market drawn. So we've got a couple options. You can just draw a circle, right? So maybe we start our point right at the property level and we draw a circle. Now we're looking at 16 properties, and this distribution becomes much different, right? We've got a lot fewer on the low end, a lot fewer on the high end, and we're really kind of looking at properties that are middle of the road across the distribution of 16. Another great tool is that you can draw your own polygon. So we know that this is where the property is located, and maybe I know that these properties up at the top of the map are a great example of or are a great sample set for the property I'm looking at. And then maybe it's really just kind of to this 4 or 5 blocks back from the beach, and it goes around this way and then connects. So now we've drawn a whole new market. And this can be great if you've got condos in a particular building that maybe match up with some next to it. Maybe we would overlap to standard markets when drawing this polygon. But the idea is that we really put the power in your hand to choose what other properties you'd like in your sample set. So now we're looking at 31 total properties, and we've chosen middle of the road as far as the distribution of the comp set. And what I like to point out is that this gives you a starting point. A lot of property managers, when they're thinking about new business development, they may not necessarily have a great strategy for putting together a data-driven rental projection. And in this tool, we give you real data based off of real property performance month by month. And what's super unique from here is that you're giving your potential homeowner a lot more information than they would have otherwise. You're going to stand out against your competition for that reason alone. But what I love about it, from having done business development for years in the past, is that once you get to this point, you can also edit. This was not included in our original launch of the program, and so I'm really proud to be able to show once you come in here, you can edit with an additional header, so maybe that's a customized message. You can also edit your charts. Oftentimes, I would come up with an original projection for a potential new homeowner, and it changes after you have a nice conversation with that homeowner. You're going to understand what their expectations are, but you're also going to begin to understand what their needs are, right? So maybe they anticipate using the property all of the month of May. So instead of averaging 7 owner nights for the month of May and being 51% booked with guests, I could then go in and increase those owner nights, remove the rent revenue for the month, and then recalculate a customized projection for that homeowner. Having this real information is useful not just for the integrity of your business as you're bringing on new homeowners, but it's also very useful for you as a business owner, being able to anticipate what a new property on your program has the potential to produce. And you're really only getting there if you're using real data-driven information and numbers. So play around with this in your dashboard. You can sign up for a free trial by going to your marketplace button and joining the trial. You'll get a 30-day free trial to try it out. After that 30 days, this is a component of the dashboard that's an additional charge. But be sure and ask questions to your partner success manager. We have a lot of leeway in order to help you find value in this new product within Key Data, and we're really, really interested in feedback. So just to kind of review here, you start at the address level. We locate that address within a market, and then from there, you provide additional details about the property, and then you have the choices from the histogram, which is the, let me type in here, which is the visual distribution within the dashboard. As you work through this, feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns, but we are going to leave it right there for today. Again, my name's Tyler. I'm a partner success manager with Key Data. And feel free to reach out to me, or you can always reach out to support@keydata-dashboard.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Let me check and see if there are any questions in our.
Tyler, one of the great questions that came in was about the ability to export from Logbook. I just confirmed that that's not in there currently, but it should be released shortly. Obvious, great add. And then we had a few questions for some suggestions for other functionality, so I've added those to the list. So I appreciate that quick feedback, and please keep it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So great thing about being a partner with Key Data is that, like Jason said, your feedback drives our product roadmap. And so there are things that that you do in your business right now that may take 7 steps, that's data related, that we would love to hear about, because those pain points that you may be experiencing, I can guarantee, there are probably many others in the industry that are feeling the same way. So let's see if there are any other questions that are in here that we should hit.
Hey, Tyler, we do have some questions coming in if you want me to read them to you so you can answer them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, we have a question regarding the business development tool. If someone keeps getting a notification that there are not enough properties for a value, how can you counter, like pull the area wider or add more filters to make sure you're getting that information?
That is a really great question. So if you're in a market where Key Data may not have a ton of additional customers, right? We will throw up an error sometimes. It really depends on what you're looking for, because remember, as you continue to filter, that's really hindering the sample size. So a couple of ways to combat that issue. Like I showed you before about how you can draw your own market area, right? So you can always expand your market area so that it includes maybe some other areas that weren't included before. And then aside from that, you can also adjust the filters, right? So the number of bedrooms. So if you're looking specifically for something that's around a 3 or 4 bedroom house, add in that 4th bedroom or 5th bedroom, and then submit the query. And hopefully at that point, you'll get enough in the comp set to create the report. Because honestly, once you get to this point where you've got a report, you have the basics, you can then start to tailor the report to the exact property. I mean, keep in mind that I've seen, 3-bedroom houses that have been completely remodeled that would be totally on the higher end of the spectrum. And then I've seen 3-bedroom house, a 3-bedroom house across the street that's run down and would absolutely be on the lower end. So the edit functionality comes in really, really helpful whenever you start to dig into the specifics of the property. What else do you have, Jennifer?
So the next question is, does the revenue pull for rentals only using Key Data, or does it pull from Verbo and Airbnb users as well?
That's a wonderful question, and we get this question a lot. It's actually direct fed data from other customers that are using Key Data just like you. And so while there may be some potential down the road, and it is definitely part of our product roadmap to include more OTA information in our rental projection reports, but also in our benchmarking reports. It's not something that's included right now. So this is direct fed professional property manager data that's of course anonymous, just like your data is.
Great. And the next question, we've got quite a few, sorry. Where can they activate this in the dashboard, and how, if it's not something that is usable for their market just yet, how can they deactivate it, and how much is the cost?
Yeah, so it's located under Marketplace. And what's really neat here is that it's self-service. You can go in and activate rental projections. And then if you decide that it's not something that you want to continue with, you can always click on the little three dots there, and you can remove it. You can also reach out to your partner success manager to help with that. And something that's new that is, I think, going to be released this week or next is really using your own data to help produce rental projections. So if you may be in an area where we don't have enough other companies feeding in their information to provide you with benchmarking reports, we're going to be implementing the ability for you to create rental projections based off of your own data as a way to kind of bridge that gap.
Perfect. When you download the rental projection, can you remove the username or edit the email information that shows at the top of the rental projection?
Yeah, so that's a really great point. I didn't show what that looks like. So once you've completed your rental projection, you have the ability to download a PDF report. And let's just pull one up real quick so that you can see what it would look like once it's downloaded. So you click download PDF. It's going to pop it up here in your downloads bar. And it has some unique opportunities, right? You've got some branding opportunity at the top. And so you'll want to make sure that you have your logo attached to your key data dashboard, but then you also want to make sure you've updated your personal information. Of course, I'm using a fake account, but it's all up here in your settings. So your personal information, that's the name that's going to show up right here, Melanie Brown. So you'll want to update your personal information, and then you'll want to update your company information with your logo to get that great branding opportunity at the top of the report.
Perfect. With Logbook, do we have the ability, I don't think we do, but that information does not pull from the property management system if they make a note about a change on a property in their system, right? Has to be manually done.
That's correct. It's all being held within key data. So we work with such a wide variety of property management systems, and you know, they're each one is very unique about the fields that they offer and how you can enter information. And what we found is that there really wasn't a great consistent way across all those platforms to create this tool. So instead, we're holding all of that information in key data. And that's why we suggest really giving as many people in your company access to your dashboard as possible so that they can use that tool and also share information across your teams.
Okay, great. In the rental projections, it looks like the default is to last year based on today. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're using 2019 data, and you know, as we continue forward, you know, think about 2020 data may not be necessarily what we'll end up using next year. You know, so what's great about key data is that we have a team of data scientists that are looking through each market. Even as we add more and more customers, the data becomes more rich. And we're deciding, you know, what is the best representation to use. So we may update certain months where we're pulling historical information from, you know, a month this year or a month last year, depending on, you know, what follows the most recognizable trends within that individual market. So I think that, you know, having that team of people really working to make sure that the data is accurate and actionable is a real benefit, kind of a background benefit to being a part of key data.
Perfect. In the projection tools, I think that this question is referring to that. Is there the ability to add amenities such as indoor pool, game room, etc.? when filtering?
Yeah, so in our initial release of this product, we had more filtering options, but kind of like I was just saying, how we work with so many different partners and platforms, there wasn't enough consistency across people that put in those characteristics or named characteristics in the same way. And it was, in fact, really shrinking sample sizes way too far. So right now, the only two filtering options that you have are bedroom size and unit type. But as we continue to grow and those and the data changes and becomes, more and more useful as we have more and more people feeding in their information, those pieces will get updated. But for now, it's bedroom count and unit type.
Okay, and this is a question we get asked a lot. Is there going to be an option to add a property photograph to the projections in the future in order to brand consistency and differentiate themselves from other tools?
I love that. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So any of those really genius ideas that you guys have, be sure and send those in, because there's nothing that I love more than going to a development meeting and saying, guys, I've got the best idea ever, when really it came from, one of our partners. But absolutely, so more branding opportunities within the dashboard, as well as the ability to customize some of these reports for photography and other things as well.
Perfect. And the last question we have is, can you delete or edit logbook entries?
Yeah, 100%. So there is an edit button next to any of the individual entries. You can edit an entry or you can delete an entry. So feel free to play around, test it out, because like I always say in the dashboard, you can't break anything. So be sure and play with it and find out how it can provide value for your organization. You can absolutely edit or delete log entries.
Perfect. And that's it for questions. There was a couple with people trying to put notes in and stuff like that, and ran across a couple errors. So if you all do see anything that looks off, just email support@keydata-dashboard.com with a screenshot would be very helpful, and we can figure out what's going on.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. We hope you have a great day, and we really appreciate your time. And with that, we'll end it right here.